Hello and welcome to the Ghost Town Chronicles. Today we continue our exploration across the United States. Let's discover 10 more abandoned military bases of Texas, their history and the secrets they are hiding. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to help us continue making these series. Number 1. Kelly Air Force Base, San Antonio. Established in 1917, it began as a U.S. Army Signal Corps aviation repair depot. Over the years, its mission evolved, and it became an important logistics and maintenance center for the U.S. Air Force. During World War II and the years that followed, Kelly Air Force Base played a critical role in aircraft maintenance, repair, and supply distribution. It was a key logistics and maintenance hub for the U.S. Air Force, ensuring the readiness of military aircraft. However, in the wake of the end of the Cold War and changing military strategies, the need for large logistics and maintenance bases like Kelly diminished. As a result, the base was slated for closure under the base realignment and closure process. Kelly Air Force Base officially closed in 2001. Following its closure, the property underwent a significant transformation. A portion of the land was transferred to local authorities and repurposed for civilian use, including industrial and commercial development. The former base became Port San Antonio, a dynamic industrial complex and technology hub. Number 2. Amarillo Air Force Base, Amarillo. Established during World War II, it served as a training center for aerial gunners and mechanics. During World War II and the years following, the base played a vital role in training aircrew members, particularly in the operation of machine guns on aircraft. It was instrumental in preparing personnel for combat roles during the war. After the war, Amarillo Air Force Base's mission evolved to include training in aircraft maintenance and other technical skills. It was an essential part of the U.S. Air Force's training infrastructure. But with changing military needs and the restructuring of military bases, Amarillo Air Force Base was eventually closed. The base ceased its active military operations in 1968. The property was subsequently repurposed for civilian use, including the establishment of the Rick Husband Amarillo International Airport, which now occupies the site. Number 3. Webb Air Force Base, Big Spring. Established in 1952 during the Korean War era, it primarily served as an airbase for pilot training. During its active years, Webb Air Force Base played a crucial role in training military pilots for various aircraft, including jet fighters. It was an essential hub for pilot training and played a part in preparing aviators for their roles in the U.S. Air Force. The base continued to serve as a training center for decades, even as the U.S. Air Force's aircraft and training programs evolved. However, with changing military needs and advancements in pilot training techniques and technology, Webb Air Force Base's mission became less critical. As part of the base realignment and closure process, Webb Air Force Base was officially closed in 1977. The closure marked the end of its active role as a pilot training center. Following its closure, portions of the land were repurposed for civilian use, including industrial and commercial development. Number 4. Biggs Air Force Base, El Paso. Biggs Air Force Base, formerly El Paso Army Airfield, was a United States Air Force base located east of El Paso, Texas. It was open from 1918 to 1997 and served as a training base for pilots and flight engineers during World War II and the Cold War. The base was also home to a number of other military units, including the 377th Bombardment Wing, which flew B-52 Stratofortress bombers. Biggs was originally established as El Paso Army Airfield in 1918 and was used for training pilots during World War I. It was also a major staging area for troops and supplies being deployed to Europe. After the war, the base was used for a variety of purposes, including training pilots, testing aircraft, and supporting research and development. During World War II, Biggs Air Force Base played a vital role in the training of pilots and flight engineers. It was home to the Army Air Corps Flying School, which trained thousands of pilots for combat duty, and to a number of other training units, including the Bombardier School and the Gunnery School. After World War II, Biggs continued to be used as a training base for pilots and flight engineers. The base also became home to a number of other military units. In 1991, the Air Force announced that Biggs would be closed as part of a base realignment and closure initiative. The base was officially closed on September 30, 1997. Since its closure, Biggs Air Force Base has been largely abandoned. A number of the buildings on the base have been demolished, and the runways have been allowed to deteriorate. However, there are still some buildings and facilities on the base that are being used by a variety of organizations, including the El Paso Police Department and the El Paso Fire Department. In recent years, there have been proposals to redevelop the base into a commercial or mixed-use development. However, these plans have not yet come to fruition. Number 5. Childress Army Airfield. It was originally established as a training base for B-24 Liberator bomber crews. During World War II, the airfield played a critical role in training bombardiers and other crew members for the B-24 bomber. The base's mission was to prepare personnel for the rigors of combat, including aerial bombing operations. After the war, as the need for military aviation training bases diminished, Childress Army Airfield was deactivated. It was one of many military installations across the United States that saw reduced military use or closure as a result of the changing post-war military landscape. Following its deactivation, the land was repurposed for civilian use. Today, it is used for various purposes, including agriculture, industrial, and commercial development. Number 6. Aloe Army Airfield, Victoria. It was established as a training base for bomber crews, particularly for the B-17 Flying Fortress. During World War II, Aloe Army Airfield played a vital role in training bomber crews for combat. The base's mission was to prepare personnel for the operational demands of flying and operating B-17 bombers in various theaters of the war. After World War II, as the need for military aviation training bases declined, Aloe Army Airfield was deactivated. It was one of many military installations across the United States that experienced reduced military use or closure as a result of the changing post-war military landscape. Following its deactivation, the land was repurposed for civilian use, including agriculture and industrial development. Number 7. Fort Ringgold, Rio Grande City. The fort's history dates back to the mid-19th century when it was established to protect American settlers and communities in the Rio Grande Valley during a period of border tensions. The U.S. Army constructed the fort in 1848, naming it after Major Samuel Ringgold, a hero of the Mexican-American War. Over the years, Fort Ringgold served various military purposes, including providing support during the Civil War and the Mexican Revolution. It was a significant military presence in the region. But with changing military strategies and the evolving nature of U.S.-Mexico relations, the need for a fort like Ringgold diminished. The U.S. Army officially deactivated the fort in 1944. Following its closure, the land was returned to civilian use. Today, some of the original fort structures still stand and are used for various community and educational purposes. Fort Ringgold's historical significance in the protection of the Texas-Mexico border is remembered as an essential part of its legacy. Number 8. Moore Air Force Base, Mission. It was initially established in 1942 during World War II. During its active years, Moore Air Force Base primarily served as a training center for pilots. It played a crucial role in preparing aviators for their roles in the U.S. Air Force, focusing on pilot training, particularly for single-engine aircraft. After World War II, the base's mission expanded to include helicopter pilot training, adapting to the changing needs of the U.S. Air Force. It continued to serve as a pilot training center for several decades. However, with evolving military strategies and changes in pilot training programs, Moore Air Force Base eventually became less critical. The base was officially closed in 1961. Following its closure, the land was repurposed for civilian use, including agricultural and industrial development. Number 9. Reese Air Force Base, Lubbock. Reese Air Force Base was established during World War II and initially served as a training base for U.S. Army Air Force's pilots. After the war, it continued its mission as a primary training center for Air Force pilots. The base's primary focus was pilot training, including training for fighter and bomber aircraft. It played a pivotal role in preparing pilots for their roles in the U.S. Air Force. Despite its long-standing history as a pilot training center, Reese Air Force Base was officially closed in 1997 as part of the base realignment and closure process. The closure marked the end of its active role as a pilot training center. After its closure, the land has been repurposed for various civilian uses, including commercial and industrial development and educational institutions. Number 10. Laredo Air Force Base. The base was established during the early 1940s, primarily to serve as a training center for U.S. Army Air Force's pilots during World War II. Laredo Air Force Base played a crucial role in training pilots for various military aircraft, including fighter planes and bombers. It was instrumental in preparing aviators for their roles in the U.S. Air Force. Like many military installations, Laredo experienced changes in its mission over time. It was eventually closed as part of the base realignment and closure process in 1973. Following its closure, the base's facilities and land were repurposed for various civilian uses, including industrial and commercial development. Today the facility is known as Laredo International Airport. Make sure to check the first part of abandoned military bases in Texas. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Ghost Town Chronicles.